Hey guys, this is a multi-character ex-listener. I hope you enjoy. This was actually requested, but this became a multi-character video because someone asked me to do a Denki ex-pregnant listener, and another person asked me to do a Shinsou ex-pregnant listener. So I thought I'll put the two in a video together, and then I decided to add Bakugou and Kirishima because why not? And I hope you enjoy. And yeah, you were sitting in the bathroom, pregnancy test in your hands. There were two lines, positive. You were pregnant. You didn't know how you want to tell your husband of 2 years, Denki Kaminari. You guys started dating in the first year of UA and finally ended up getting married just after you graduated. It had been 2 years since then, and right now, you were figuring out how to tell them a news that could change all your lives. Since you both were pro heroes, this could be a big impact, but you were happy. You wanted a kid with Denki more than anything. So you decided to wait until he went out of patrol to tell him. When he came back to the house, he has his hero costume on and said, "Hey babe, I'm home." You smiled and ran up to your husband and gave him a kiss. You looked at him and said, "Well, I made dinner for you, so go get changed. I have some important news." He gave you a warm smile and proceeded to your room to change. You had the perfect idea to tell Denki how you were pregnant. Even him could get it, even though he was an idiot. You had made a bond and decided to put it in the oven. When he came out and said, "Babe, where's dinner?" You said, "Look at the oven." He saw the bond and said, "Well, it's not ready yet. How we're gonna eat it?" You smiled. "Don't you get it? Bun in the oven?" He looked at you with a confused face. "What do you mean?" I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I'm really not catching on. You said, "Oh my god, Denki, you're an idiot, but that's why I love you." You pull out of your pocket the positive pregnancy test, and he smiled and said, "Baby, are you pregnant?" You nodded. I love you so much. I can't wait to see him or her. I'm so excited." You look at him with a confused look, and you said, "You're a bit too excited for this kid." "Well, of course, I'm gonna have a kid with the most beautiful girl in the world." 9 months later, you and Denki were in the hospital room with your two beautiful baby girls. They were twins, and they look exactly like their father. I love them so much, and love you too, Yuan. Thank you so much. You were feeling kinda nauseous. You have been feeling like this for about 2 weeks. Your husband, Shinsou, was starting to get worried. He suggested, "Babe, what about we go to a hospital? You don't seem fine, and I'm starting to get very worried. I don't want anything to happen to my baby, okay?" You nodded, and you guys decided to go to a hospital the next day. When you guys arrived to a hospital, Shinsou was waiting in the waiting room, and you proceeded. Your doctor asked your symptoms, and you described the nauseous, the pains you were feeling, and she thought that you could possibly be pregnant, so she gave you a pregnancy test, and you went to a bathroom to take it. After you waited for 5 minutes, you saw the pregnancy test. It was positive. You couldn't be more happy, but scared. It was a kid. You and your husband were gonna have a kid. Shinsou was worried because you already had a long time in the consult room. When he entered the room, he saw your doctor, and you were crying, but they weren't sad tears, they were happy tears. The doctor proceeded to say, "Well, I will leave you two alone. Yuan has something important to tell you." The doctor tried out, and Shinsou sat right next to you. "Baby, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" You look up at your husband with a smile and said, "Shinsou, now you're gonna have 2 babies." He couldn't help but smile. Wait, Yuan, you're pregnant? You nodded, and he pulled you into a hug and said, we're gonna be the best parents ever. This kid will be so beautiful because you're their mother. You laughed and pulled him again into a hug. 9 months later, you guys were at the same hospital. All your friends were there, and you gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. He was so precious. He looked a combination of you and Shinsou, and you guys couldn't be happier. Thank you so much, babe. This couldn't be very possible if you hadn't asked me out in high school. You nodded and said, of course, you're too shy to ask me. He just gave you a glare and kissed. You were 2 months pregnant. You haven't seen your boyfriend, Bakugou Katsugi, in about 3 months. He had left for a mission and he was about to come back. You had found out you were pregnant just about when he left. You had planned a big surprise to tell him. You were hoping he wasn't mad at you. He had some anger issues, you thought. Your idea was to gather some of your friends and make him a party to celebrate his return. And in that party, you were going to give him a gift that was the pregnancy test. Mina thought it was a great idea, and you guys started planning it. The night your boyfriend was back, you gave him a kiss and said, babe, I have a surprise for you. Then all the lights turned on, and it revealed most of your friends, the back squad, and some people from class 1A. The party went perfectly. You guys made speeches about Bakugou returning, even though he just was gone for 3 months. And finally, it was time for your present. You went over to Bakugou and gave him a small red box. He opened it and saw the positive pregnancy test with a little card said, you're gonna be a father. He almost started crying. He hugged you and leaned in for a kiss and proceeded you to confirm, babe, are you really pregnant? You gave him a kiss in response, and he said, I love you so much. I'm gonna be the best dad ever. I love you, I love you, I love you. 9 months later, you guys were at the hospital with your beautiful baby girl. Then Bakugou took a small box out of his pocket and said, you and me have gone through a lot. Will you be the honor to be my wife, please? You said, yes, of course. And you guys kissed. Thank you, Yuan. You and Kirishima have been dating for about 3 years. And you were in shock. You were with Mina at a slumber party, and you were telling her about how you were feeling nauseous. She said, girl, what about you're pregnant? You looked at her and giggled. I don't think I'm pregnant, Mina. She said, well, it's better to confirm it. She went to her bathroom and gave you a pregnancy test and pointed at the bathroom and said, go take it because I actually want to be an aunt. And please, I hope you're pregnant because you and Kirishima will be so cute as parents and your baby will be so cute. You giggled and headed to the bathroom thinking it was impossible. But 5 minutes later, the feeling it was impossible was gone. You saw 2 pink lines, means you're pregnant. You went out and gave the pregnancy test to Mina. You were in shock. She celebrated, yes, you're pregnant, I am going to be an aunt. How are you going to tell Kirishima? You were still in shock. You would love to have a kid with Kiri, but you didn't expect it to be like this. You went back to reality when Mina was hitting your arm and said, Mina, stop that. She said, sorry, Yuan, but I called Kirishima. He's gonna be here in 30 minutes to pick you up because you're gonna tell him tonight. You look at her with a glare and said, you cannot decide that. She giggled and looked at you. Well, best time to tell him now than in the future. Now go. 10 minutes later, Kirishima arrived at Mina's apartment. He said, hey babe, ready to go? You nodded, and in the car ride, you said to him, "Babe, I have something to tell you. I don't know this is not the place, but I don't think I can hold anything to tell you." He said, "What is it, babe?" "I'm pregnant." Kirishima stopped the car and said, "Wait, you're what?" "You," said again, "I'm pregnant." He went to give you a hug, but you stopped him and said, "Kirishima, we're in the middle of the road. Someone's gonna crash us if you stop that irrationally." He giggled and said, "Oh, sorry, babe." When you guys got to your house, he gave you a hug and a kiss and said, "We are gonna be the best parents ever." 9 months later, you had a beautiful baby girl and a beautiful baby boy. You and Kirishima couldn't be more happy. You guys thought you were so lucky.